All right, welcome back, and we're going to continue through our Unit 5 notes here. We're going to be covering 5.02, talking about debugging, and this should be found in your PowerPoint here. Now, today we're going to cover three different topics. We're going to cover kind of a review session, what a breakpoint is, kind of how it looks in coding, how to use a watch window, and then how to use a try-catch method. So the real key here is you need to know all three of these. The breakpoint and watch window you may not use very much right now, but I promise you that if you get into any kind of higher level programming, a breakpoint with a watch window will be one of the best tools you can use in programming. It'll help you solve so many of your errors and so many of your logic problems. So make sure you learn how to do this. If you forget, again, this video is here for you to reference, but make sure you kind of understand how to use a breakpoint and then how it works in the program. All right. Additionally, we're going to be talking about a try-catch method. This is a crucial skill you must learn how to use in programming. With a try-catch method, your program will no longer crash if the user puts in an incorrect value for a variable. All right, we'll kind of explore that and kind of see what happens here. So look at our example program here. We have an example program called Addition Calculator. You've probably seen something very similar to this before. This time we're going to take in two numbers. Again, this is text box 1 and this is text box 2. We're going to add them when we click this button right here. So again, it's an Addition Calculator. Again, this is button 1. And then we're going to output the total value, the addition, into a label 4. Alright, so I already got most of the coding written here. I've got our public class form 1, including our three variables, and then here's our button click. So let me finish up the program for our button click. Alright, so first thing we need to do is we need to take in the two numbers from our text box. So we'll say something like num1 is equal to textbox1.text, and num2 is equal to textbox2.text. Again, all we're doing here is we're taking in our values from our two different text boxes. All right, and then we want to add them together, and we'll add them to the variable called total. So total equals num1 plus num2, and then of course we will display our total, label 1 dot text equals to total. All right, and again, this program, as you can tell, has no syntax errors. This will run fine. So one thing, I'll go ahead and run it for you, just so you can see that the program does run correctly. All right, so if we add, let's say 4 and 9, all right, if I click on this button here, you can see it changes to 13. Oops, that's the wrong label. It should be label 4. Let me go back and fix that real quick. Just the wrong name there. So this will be label 4. All right, and now if I go back and rerun the program again, let's do it one more time just to show you this does work. So 4 plus 9, and then you can see the total is 13. All right, and just a little mishap on my part for putting in the wrong label in the coding. All right, now let's talk about the breakpoint and the watch window. So the breakpoint is something that will stop the program and allow you to walk through the coding one step at a time. Now, why is this useful? This is useful because sometimes the coding gets so big and you cannot identify where the error is without actually stopping the program and walking yourself one step at a time through the coding. And the way you use a watch window is this little kind of grayish line to the left right here. If you click on there, this will make a little red dot, and you can see it highlights the text red. And so what this does is it will stop the program while you're running it, and it'll stop it right at that point. All right. So in other words, when the coding gets to this point right here, when num1 is equal to textbox1.text, it will pause the program. It will literally stop the program and say, okay, what do you want to do next? And so let me run it for you, and we'll kind of see what this looks like. So once again, I have my addition calculator. I'm going to put in a 5 with a 7. All right, just for sake of argument. And now if I click on my button 1, again, there's a breakpoint in there. So when I click on it, notice how the program sort of stops. It's not an error. It's just stopping the program right there and saying, okay, what do you want to do next? Okay, so what do you want to do next? And if you look up here in the top part of the program, you can see there are a couple of arrows here. I have a show next, I have a step into, a step over, and a step out. For your purposes and what you're going to be doing programming-wise, you're going to want to use these step into. And so what this will do is this will step into that line of coding and then continue on. You can literally click this to go one step in the coding at a time. So let me show you. If I click on this, all right, oh, yes, I want to continue. And then notice how I can continue moving forward through my coding. All right, and once again, I can continue moving forward all the way through my coding. All right, and then when I exit the private sub, all right, once again, you can see my program comes back up. And all it did was literally walk through the code one step at a time. Now, why is this helpful? Why would I want to use a breakpoint? The reason you want to use a breakpoint is you want to use it in conjunction with a watch window. So if I rerun the program again, all right, so we're going to rerun the program again. And this I'm going to add, let's say 3 and 7. All right, once again, the program stops here. A watch window allows you to see the value of a particular variable at that given time. So right now the program is stopped at line 12, right here. Now to find a watch window, you go to your debug, Windows, all right, pretty straightforward. And then if we go down, we see watch right here. And you can see there you can have up to 4 watch windows. You probably won't need all 4, but if you need to, you can have 4 different watch windows to watch different variables. And if I click on watch 1, if you look right down here now, you can see that I have a watch window opened up. So what you can do now is in the name, you can put the name of your variable. So for example, num1, all right, and then we'll do num2, num2, there we go. And then finally, we'll do total. All right, and now you can see right here, I can actually keep track of all of my variables. All right, I can keep track of every variable that I'm updating, and this is helpful. Sometimes you don't always see the variables that you're updating. And so this is a good way to stop the program and make sure, and the key word here is make sure that the program is updating with the correct values of your variables. If it's not, then you can try to pinpoint exactly where it went wrong. So let's step into my program. All right, so remember I entered in a 3 into my text box 1. I entered a 7 into my text box 2. So if I step into it, you should see now I'm stepping into my second one. Now you can see num1 is actually equal to 3. And that's exactly right. That's the number I put in originally. If I step again, I should see a 7 here. And now I'm at my total equals num1 plus num2. And again, if I step one more time, you can see that gives me a 10. And then one more step, and that'll get me back to my end stub. And then if I click it one more time, I'll go back to my program here. Now, I want you to see kind of how the watch window works. All right, so notice how I've entered in a 3 here, a 7 here, and a 10 comes out at the very end. Again, how the watch window works is it watches the variable for you, or the value or the name. So again, here, I've updated this to be a 3 and a 7, and that's exactly what I see in the num1 and num2. And then when I add them together, I get that for my total as well. All right. Now let me stop the program. Let's go look at a couple of other things. One, if I want to get rid of my breakpoint, I just simply click on it, and it goes away. All right, pretty straightforward. Now, if we look back at this program, you should notice a couple things. One, this does not fix the runtime error if I put in a string in here. All right. And 2, this program only works if the user puts in the correct information. In other words, if they put in only numbers, right? And more specifically, integers. So if we were to put in the word Bob or Jack, and I'll just say for sake of example, let's put in, I don't know, Bob. All right, and then once you can see it, once you see it again, is the program crashes again. All right, again, this is not how we use a text box that's going into a variable with an integer value. Instead, what we need to do is we need to use what's called a try-catch method. All right, and so here's what a try-catch would look like for this program. So you would put a try here, and then the moment you type try and hit enter, you'll get the try along with the catch, X as exception, and the end try. All of this coding right here needs to go into your try, between your try and your catch. So this is kind of how the try-catch works. The try-catch will literally try all of this coding here. In other words, it's going to try to see if something goes wrong there. If something goes wrong, it will jump out of this coding and jump into my catch X as exception. And now what the catch means is it's saying, okay, I don't want the program to crash, so I'm going to jump to this little catch X as exception. I'm going to click on it a couple times so you can see it. And I can, for example, put a message box right here. So message box.show. And I'll generally put something like, please enter only numbers. So this is usually a catch to make sure the program doesn't crash. And what you do is you usually put a message box there like I have right here, and it tells the user, hey, you did something wrong, and you put in maybe a string value when the program was expecting a number. And so therefore, for the program not to crash, I'm going to use this try-catch method. Okay, and let's kind of see how this works. So if I run my program again, all right, so run the program again. This time, let's put in Bob, and let's put in the number 7. All right, and once again, you can see we have a string value, but the program is expecting a integer value right here. So if I click on my button, what's going to happen is the program is going to run through. It's going to try all this stuff right here, but it's going to try it in order. So it's going to try the first, num1 equals textbox1.text. And if that doesn't work, it's going to jump out into my catch as exception right here. So let me click on it. And what you see is you should see the message box that pops up. Please enter only numbers. Again, this is because number 1 right here, I've attempted to put in the word Bob instead of an actual number. Now let me do something else. Let's say I put in a 5 in here. Let's say I put in, let's say Bob in my number 2. Now what's going to happen is my num1 is going to get 5. That works just fine. But then my num2 is going to crash, and I'm just going to shoot me into my catch as exception again. All right, so let me click on it. All right, and there we go. Once again, you can see right here, I get a please enter only numbers. Again, it's trying this right here, but it's not able to do it. So it's going to jump out, and it's going to jump to the catch as exception. All right. Now let's say I do something weird. Let's say let's say we put another breakpoint. Let's say we put it right here. And let's say we run the program again. And this time I'm going to put in only numbers in for this first time. So I'm going to put 5 and 18. Or 8, sorry. And if I click on my button 1, what should I see in label 4? I should see the number 13. All right. Once again, it's going to pause there. I'm going to run through my program real quick. Okay. And then you can see I get the number 13. And once again, I just simply went through my breakpoint with my watch window again. Now I'm going to show you something else. Let's say I put in the word Joe for number 1 instead of a number like we had 5 before. Now I want you to pay close attention to the watch window down here. So let me click the button again. All right, once again the program pauses for a second. All right, so now this time I'm at the try. Okay. And now I'm at the num1 equals textbox1.text, and you can see that being highlighted right there. Now, again, this was the issue. I put the name, I think it was Joe, right here. What should happen now is you should see this yellow box jump down to the catch as exception. So let me step into it, and bam, you see that immediately jumps down to my catch as exception. Again, this is because I made a runtime error, or I attempted to make a runtime error, and the program caught me before I could do that with the try catch. And then if I click through the rest of it, you can see now my message box comes up. All right, very good. And then if I finish out the rest of this sub, you can see now I go back to my my program right here. All right. Now, once again, pay close attention to the watch window right here. Did the num1, the num2, or the total ever change from what I had previously when I had a 5, 8, and 13? The answer is no. And I want you to see why. It's because the moment I hit the num1 equals textbox1.text, this doesn't work when I put Joe in there. So the program jumps out and goes to my catch as exception right here. Notice how I never changed my variables from before. My variables from before, my 5, my 8, and my 13, still remain for all my variables. So that's very important to remember when you're working with a try-catch. If you do jump to the catch as exception, your variables will not default back to what they were before. In other words, it won't be 0, 0, 0. All right? So this time it's going to stay as 5, 8, and 13. All right, so that's kind of review over how to use a try-catch. Again, I want you to see the try-catch here. Again, I want you to see how it's written in coding and how it works to prevent your program from crashing. All right? So I'll end the video there, and hopefully this helps you start with some of your programs and some of your projects.